here with, welcome back to CelebrityU Radio TV show, and we've got Susan Stageman here. She's our new host. I'm so pleased that you took the plunge.
Thank you.
It's kind of like that ropes thing, maybe.
Yes,
that leap. And she's going to be so good for the show. I know that y'all are really going to get a lot from her. She's a great person, by the way. Of course, I say that about everybody. No, but she really is.
Say that about everyone.
Yeah, I know, but she really is. And so I'm excited about having her on the show. Now, remember that she is a master NLP practitioner and a certified trainer, and the founder of NLP Training Concepts LLC. And she trains both individuals and groups in neuro-linguistic programming. She conducts classes in stress reduction, identity, and does the NLP classes at SMU.
Thank you.
I assume everybody that watches this show knows what SMU is. That's Southern Methodist University. Okay, so I'm just going to hand it over to you and let you welcome everybody, and thank you. And here she is, Susan Stageman.
Thank you, Kathy. I wanted just to talk today about a little bit about what NLP isn't and what it is and what you can get with it and what is you can't get with it, because there's a lot of misconceptions out there. And in our soundbite type world, we do have problems getting a full picture of what something is. So I just thought I'd spend a few minutes talking about what it is and what it isn't and do that kind of good stuff. So there's NLP came out of studying what highly effective people do in learning and communication and behavior. So it's a model of models, and what that means is it was originally developed for people to help them acquire skills from other people who were much better at doing something than they were. So that's how it was originally developed. Then people in sales and marketing picked parts of it up and started teaching it to salespeople and business people. And so much of the general population got the idea that NLP is this matching and pacing and mirroring and doing that sort of thing to help manipulate and control people, basically, if I can use it. Sell them something. And so unfortunately it started to get a bad rap, and there are a lot of business people out there and a lot of other people that are afraid of it, and it's so unfortunate, because that's not what NLP is about. That's a very small slice of the technology and what it can do for people. So I thought I'd just talk a little bit about what it can do and go beyond the matching and pacing. It was originally, when they started modeling people that were very effective at what they did, they picked 3 therapists, Virginia Satir and Fritz Perls and Milton Erickson. And although their therapies were very different, they found that they did very similar things. One of the things that they did was they had exquisite rapport with their clients.
Milton Erickson was really
amazing, amazing with language. And in the NLP classes, we do learn a lot of those patterns, the language patterns, and how to tell stories and how to be effective at persuading and influencing people, but always in a win-win situation. Anyway, that's how I teach it. And I'm known for teaching NLP with integrity. So this idea that you can't persuade people or influence them unless you have a connection with them, unless you're respectfully aligned. So that's part of it. But a lot
like hypnosis type of thing.
No, not necessarily hypnosis. It's just that the brain,
you've got to be receptive to the person.
Exactly. Okay. And the brain, because its #1 job is to keep you alive on the planet, it is constantly searching and taking in information that does matches and mismatches and recognizes patterns, just like a computer does. So in order to be effective with another person, you have to reflect back patterns that their brain will say, oh, this person's just like me. So that's where it got started, but then it goes way, way beyond that. And so I made a little list of some of the biggest problems that people have that I hear just on a day-to-day basis. One is that they fear risk. And we're in a time right now where people are in high protection mode. Well, let me tell you something about even the simplest cell, an amoeba, or a bacteria is actually smaller than an amoeba. They do two things. They're either in protection or they're in growth. In the 50s, when they used to have bomb scares, some of you are not old enough to remember that.
I remember Under the Desk.
But we used to have these bomb shelters that were fully stocked with with all kinds of... Yeah, some of them are still sitting there. And if there was an air raid, we would go down in the bomb shelter. So think of a city that was having an air raid. They go down into their bomb shelters. What happens to life, their production? It stops. Everything stops. So from the bacteria up into the most complicated organisms, i.e. ourselves, we either are in protection or growth. You can't be in two places at one time. So if you're protecting yourself, you're protecting the money you make or your job, or you're stopping yourself from growing or spending that money on developing yourself, then you're in protection. And if you're in protection, you're dying. Cells in protection eventually die because they don't reproduce.
And they don't attract, that almost kind of did, they don't attract well, they wouldn't even know if it came to them. Something good.
Exactly. Yeah. So because they're sorting for things that are going to keep them safe. If a person gets sued, think of it this way, if a person gets sued, then what happens is they are spending all that time, a fraud, if they get their identity stolen, all that time and effort is spent building their identity, protecting themselves from the person who's suing them. There's court cases, there's attorneys, it's very expensive. They can't be building a business. They can't be going out and getting customers because all their energy is spent trying to protect themselves.
Oh, that'll tell you. Never mentioned anything like that in an interview, for sure.
Yeah, that's right. So that's one thing, is risk aversion. And because of what's going on in the world today, people are becoming very risk averse, which is unfortunate. Phil Archer and I will talk about goals in another time. And one of the observations that we've made is that when people are afraid, they stop setting goals. Bad idea. Because the brain wants you to acquire things. It has a desire to move forward. And if you don't do that, if you are protecting who you are, what's going on in your life,
status quo,
because people want stability, then you can't grow. And if you're not growing, you're dying.